Still says offline.
Don't say anything.
Okay, done. Looking good.
The icon has appeared. Waiting to see if the video appears now.
Everything looks good my end.
And we're live. Welcome to the first Crimson Head Elder live stream. In the past, Crimson Head Elder has been known for doing several podcasts featuring voice actors from the Resident Evil series, as well as developers and miscellaneous. But we are venturing into new territory today. My name is Sonny Bauer, and today we have two very special guests. We're going to be streaming the Resident Evil HD Remaster, which is a remaster of the remake of the original video game. With me are both voice actors for Jill Valentine, Heidi Anderson-Swan.
Hello.
And Chris Redfield, Joe Whyte.
Good morning, afternoon, evening.
Welcome, guys. This is great.
Hey, this is great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for putting this together, Artie.
My pleasure. You guys, just to get a little personal for a second, you guys were basically my heroes growing up as a teen. So this is wonderful for me as well.
You need better heroes.
Oh.
Well, I said as a teen.
Speaking for myself, not for Heidi. Heidi's definitely one of my heroes too. But
well, I did say as a teen, Joe. No, but anyway. So I will be playing the game. We'll be going through Jill's scenario, and I'm going to hand it off to George Trevor and the Oracle Dragon. Welcome, guys.
Hi. We've got some fantastic fans from all over the world. I can see in the live chat. I just want to say hi to Heidi and Joe. Hi, I'm George Trevor. But you'll be pleased to know I won't be saying very much. I'm just going to be passing on all the good wishes and all the questions to Heidi and to Joe.
Oh, great.
This is fantastic.
We've already got Kendo's Meme Shop and JC Wesker. I think Kendo is over. He's over in America, and JC Wesker is over here in England. They're saying hi to Heidi and Joe.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
And so can I just say that I've seen some cutscenes of Jill Valentine, but I've never played. And so this is going to be a first for me in many, many ways.
That's right.
So
you've never even seen gameplay, really. Right, Heidi?
Right. I don't know what you mean by gameplay, but I've seen...
Well, yeah, with the actual game being played, exploring the mansion, all that stuff, you've really just seen cutscenes with the actors.
Just cutscenes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This will be great. And Joe, you have played before, but if I'm correct, you've only played Chris's scenario.
Well, I actually know. Last year, I realized that there was an entire side of the game that I had never explored, and I played Jill's game and really loved it. It was like re-experiencing the game for the first time all over again, and it was fantastic.
Oh, fantastic!
So I'm looking forward to this, and I'm really glad that we're playing through Jill's side because I've only done this once before, so this will be a lot of fresh material for me.
Great.
Joe, you know, before we came live, you asked us if we could hear you eating those nachos. Yes, we can.
I promise you, I'm going to mute my microphone every time I consume a cookie or a nacho or anything else, so you don't hear me smacking and cracking and drinking and
popping.
Oh my God, Joe! I ate before we started.
That was the smart thing to do.
You guys are sounding like you're having a Chris and Jill banter
Oh
right now.
my gosh! Yes, yes.
Chris
Eat
is
first.
Jill, have you got any?
A married
Have you
couple
got
10 years later.
Have you got any green herbs there, Heidi, for Joe?
Green herbs.
Yeah,
My-
in the game for his health.
Does that happen in the game?
At the
Yes,
game thing.
yes. Herbs are used for healing purposes as well as first aid sprays.
Oh, okay. I'm
Oh no,
excited.
don't worry. I wasn't going there. Heidi, Joe, yeah, we better start. Yeah, are you
Okay.
ready, Artie?
Yes. Oh, just to say, in the chat, some of the fans are speaking that Joe has a second role in this game. He actually also voices Richard Aiken.
That's right. Whimpering little Richard.
No, I'm going to have to pull you up on this, Joe, because in a recent interview, I heard you describe Richard Aiken as that shitty little pathetic creature or something. What did you call
I
him?
forget what I said. I called him something awful.
You've also in the past
really?
called him. You've also in the past called him Chris Redfield with a hernia.
That's what it was. That's what I remember, at least.
That's essentially what he. I mean, the whole direction. Just to reiterate some of the stuff that's already been in the podcast. They asked me to do this second character, and I said, "Okay, what's his deal?" They said he's in a lot of pain. So that was my whole thing was just make him sound like he's in pain. Oh.
Kendall's meme shot said in the chat, he said Richard Aiken.
Hey, there you go.
Aiken.
There you go.
Wonderful.
Nicely played, sir. Nicely played.
And I think I'm the TV reporter at the Open as well.
Oh, are you really? Oh, that's
Mhm,
fantastic.
mhm.
I believe, yeah, I was just going to say that. I think you are. It sounds like your voice, Heidi. So that's great. Both of you have doubled up on roles. So.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Well, it's part of the contract, so
There you go.
yeah.
Free for free.
Okay.
Free for free.
Yeah.
What do you guys
Okay,
say?
you ready to?
What do you guys say we enter the world of survival horror?
Okay.
Let's do this.
Let's
Resident
go.
Evil.
Here we go.
Resident Evil.
That's also
That's
your
me
voice.
too. Yes, it is.
Okay. So most people play with the widescreen. I'm going to go a little classic today. I'm going to do complete static fixed camera angles.
Nice.
And I'm going to play on normal difficulty because we should have more zombies around.
It's very ballsy of you.
Yeah, well, it's a tough world, Joe.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we are searching for the helicopter of our compatriots, Bravo Team, who disappeared during the middle of their mission.
Found it yet?
No, not yet, Brad. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish
There I
reports
am.
of families
Yeah,
being attacked
that's your
by
voice,
about
for
10
sure.
people. Victims were apparently eaten. The Bravo team was sent in to investigate, but we lost contact.
Look, Chris.
Bravo team's helicopter was a derelict. Save for the remaining body. of
Okay, so
We're
oh,
we're
there we see the people.
Yeah, we're paying attention to Joe's narration so intently.
Okay.
We continued our search for the other members,
Wesker.
and it turned into a nightmare.
Bear.
Okay, so now there are, I shouldn't speak before they come, but I know there are wolves that come, right?
Yes, they were considered the zombie dogs, referred to in the series as Cerberus.
Okay.
Very.
And who was unfortunately eaten? Who was that?
This character is called Joseph Frost.
Joseph Frost?
Joseph Frost, yes. He's
Hey.
unfortunately he is the only member of the Alpha team to be killed. All the other members survive.
I wonder why they called him that. Is because they iced him?
Heidi,
Yes.
we've had the first fan request from Brazil. Could you blow a kiss to the Brazilian community?
Well, I would love to. Mwah. Is this Monique's people?
Yes, it is.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
that's come from Umfudder Games, and so there we go.
Resident Evil database crew.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hello.
Have we lost Joe? Is Joe still with us?
I think Joe is having some issues with his mic. Joe, are you there?
I think, is he eating?
No,
He
he's
was
having
trying
mic
to speak-
issues. We'll
He's
get
trying
back to Joe, see if we can sort that out.
Yeah, Joe, maybe if you drop out and come back in, it'll fix itself.
Make for that mansion!
Man, going
And so
back,
they're not a. This is the first time they see the mansion at this point.
this is the first time, this is essentially the first experience of any kind of like bioweapon scientific creatures in the series.
Barry and myself.
This is you. This is you, Heidi.
What is this place?
Not quite your ordinary house, that's for sure.
Hey, Wesker, where's Chris?
Jill, no. You don't want to go back out there.
But we've got to find...
What was that?
Chris?
No.
Jill, go and investigate.
I'm going with her. Chris and I go back a long way.
All right. You two go. I'll secure this area.
Stay sharp.
Someone said that Chris got separated from the broadcast as well as the team.
Totally.
I'm sure we'll get Joe back. His sound's been fine.
Okay, so
Got Jill with Barry here.
Jill and Barry.
Jill and Barry together.
And this is. Have I said Barry yet?
Oh, you'll get there. You say it plenty of times in this game.
And Heidi, Sky Blue Nerd wants to know: do you ever do fan conventions?
I have never done
Take a
one.
look at this.
What is
I have
it?
never done one. And to be honest, I didn't even know they existed. It wasn't until
Jill,
I spoke
see if
to.
you can find any
I
other
think
clues.
you told me about it
Re-examine
for the
this.
first time, Paul.
Let's just hope it's not
And I was like,
Chris's.
really? What happens? And you explained it to me. And then I have a dear friend. He's the actor Quentin Flynn, and he does a lot of voiceovers in a lot of different games. Kingdom Hearts, League of Legends, and some others. And he does these conventions quite a bit. And I'm like, and so he's told me about them, and it's fascinating to me. It's a whole industry that's become alive since the time this game came out, because this was almost the last thing I did, and so I had no idea that this was going on, these conventions. So are they fun to go to? Who's been? Paul, you've been.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a couple in England, and obviously they're huge over in America. So we'll have to definitely, if you're interested, hook you up with the community managers for, they're all over the place. So yeah, absolutely. DC Douglas, I know who voices Albert Wesker.
Yeah,
he's very popular, and he's prominent in the conventions. And I mean, they're huge now. I think you would be very surprised just the huge amount of love and fan affection for you that there would be.
Okay,
that's
I have
very
to interject. We're about to turn
Yes.
the corner here, and it's going to be an iconic scene.
okay.
Can you hear me?
Ah, yes, we've got Joe Whyte, Chris
Joe is
Redfield actor,
back.
back with us.
Just in
Yay.
time.
And
Oh.
Heidi, we've got another question for you.
The first zombie,
Whoa.
and we're
Wait a
just going to
minute,
run
hold
away
on.
from that one.
Jill has to experience
Look at,
this.
she's not even afraid. She just
She's just bolting.
hose on. Did she kill him? I mean, she just walked away from him?
What is it?
Oh, there we go.
Well,
It's a monster!
Oh, there we go.
Let me take care of it.
let's talk more Rockberry.
Heidi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
We have a question for you. Rebecca Hall asks,
I found
what was the
Kenneth
most fun
killed
scene
by
to
this
record
thing.
as Jill?
Let's report this to Wesker.
Oh, geez. Let me think. I have to say, only because I remember it so well, is being the when the wall comes down and squishes and almost makes me into a Jill sandwich. And when when that was happening, of course, I was completely unfamiliar with the original Resident Evil. So when they said the walls are coming down on you and you're being squished to death, I had no reference for that. So I was just, I just remember going, sounds like that. Just trying to imagine what would it be like to, to have my guts coming out of my mouth, basically. And so I remember that was really fun, and doing that kind of thing. They say now you're being thrashed around by a monster, and you go, whoa,
Oh,
whoa,
did they do
like that.
did they do the video reference for you? I remember doing the plant scene where Chris gets picked up by the plant and thrown around the room. I had to match my my voice sounds to the video of him being thrown around the room.
We can search for him separate.
I did
I'll
not get,
investigate the dining
I
room.
didn't have any of that. I mean, I
Oh,
really
wow.
think you came at a very different stage of the process than I did. I just
must have,
had,
yeah.
it was just me in a room, in a dark room with a microphone,
Oh,
imagining
wow.
these things. Yeah.
I was at Soundlux in Hollywood, and they had a little video set up, and they basically asked me to match the movement of the character being thrown around there. It was very cathartic, I have to tell you. If you ever get the chance to act as though you're being killed by a giant plant, I highly recommend it.
And watching it on video, and you feel like, did
Yeah.
you feel like that helped your process?
I felt like Superman.
And how big was the screen?
all
Was
I'm
it
gonna
like a
say about it.
huge screen? Is it a computer screen? I mean,
Oh, I think it was just a like a regular TV monitor. I mean, remember this is 1999. This is we didn't have flat screen monitors.
okay, there you go. There you go.
I think it was a regular TV.
Joe, just for some of the kind of the new guys to our streams and to our podcast that may not have heard you on our previous interviews, I think one of the more interesting points that you've discussed is how Chris Redfield, the character, has been developed through the games, and the fact that people may not know that you're a passionate gamer, that you're a huge Resident Evil fan. I thought,
yeah.
I hope you don't mind me asking. Maybe if I passed it over to you, and you could just give a couple of your thoughts on the Chris Redfield character, why you felt it was important for him to be vulnerable in this genre, and how you feel Capcom may have taken the character forward.
Well, absolutely. I mean, look at what we're looking at right now. I mean, this is it's an iconic horror style mansion. You've got dead things running around. You've got all these pitfalls and puzzles and things you have to. How much fun is that to do as someone who could potentially be killed or hurt or whatever by all of these things, as opposed to someone who is well equipped to deal with all of these situations. I mean, to me, there's just no fun in playing as a superhero because what's the point? The person's going to win. The poor Kenneth. Kenneth's holding something. Is he holding? There's the videotape.
Kenneth is the
That's the
first
video-
member that you discover from the Bravo team, which is
That's right.
Which is obviously the team that Alpha Team was going in to rescue because they lost contact.
And that videotape is of Chris and Jill at a party. They were both very drunk. They didn't know what was going on. And we're very fortunate to have got that video before it got out to the public. So anyway,
you and I
Joe,
remember
can I just
things
quickly-
differently, Joe.
Joe, just to quickly interject, and it will take you back onto your point. Director Smiley, who I met in the forums years and years and years ago, don't want to make him feel old, but he's saying you were the best Chris Redfield voice actor, the most down to earth, and I think when he says the most down to earth, I think going on to your point that you were just making.
Yeah, I wanted Chris to be a normal guy. I think that's the only thing that makes a character interesting in one of these situations is if they're an actual human being. You know, I think
The
in one
green
of our other
herb.
podcasts, there it
Sorry.
is. That's the
Yes,
green
Yes.
herb.
and we're gonna mix
We-
them, and it becomes more powerful at healing.
Yes, but don't
And-
smoke it.
No.
No. do not
So
smoke it.
listen. So Jill killed one zombie with a knife, right? She stabbed him in the eye, basically.
We never saw him truly be killed, though.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. So this one's she killed.
Well,
Well, I don't know. No,
This
she's
is-
backing away in fear.
No. Oh, yeah, he moved. Oh gosh.
So that knife that you saw, they call it a dagger in the game, and it's actually a new addition for the remake. It's called a self-defense weapon. The self-defense weapons did not appear in the original game. You just had to rely on whatever weapons you were equipped with, and you had to stay away from the zombies.
Okay.
oh, didn't you have a? There was a survival knife in the
Yes.
original. Do we still have that? We still have that,
Yes,
don't we?
that is considered a standard weapon.
I
It's
see.
in Jill's
Okay, all right.
inventory here. I advise stay clear of that.
Yeah,
It's
it doesn't
very
really seem to
effective.
be very effective at all.
No.
Okay, so on the right she's got the green herb, the dagger, and a handgun. These are all the choices that you have for her to defend herself with.
Yes, Jill. Both characters start with an inventory, and
Okay.
Jill has 2 more inventory slots than Chris does. She has 8. Chris starts with 6. So that already makes it easier to play as Jill.
Okay. So okay, I see.
And-
And then
and,
do they? And so like if she stabs the zombie with the dagger, does the dagger stay? I mean, is it still in her inventory or is it now gone because
It is gone. It is gone.
Okay.
But what you
It's
can
a
do
one-use
though,
dagger.
yeah, it's a one-use dagger. However, if you get a headshot and you blow the zombie's head off, it will fall to the ground and you can pick it back up.
Okay.
But that's a random shot though. Otherwise, you can't pick it back up after you kill the zombie.
Okay, she should not have gone down to the dungeon.
Well, there are some things down there that she has to get. One of them is this book. This dungeon,
okay.
we're gonna go back to that dungeon several times. If it's like Chris's journey, you have to go down there a bunch of times. But we'll find that so the 4 masks, and you have to find all of those masks. They're somewhere around the property.
But what do they have to do with the book?
So, the book is basically implying. See, that's the great thing about these games is that they've got files scattered all around the area for the players to pick up. Some of them have to do with puzzles that are in the game. Just very much like the ceiling trap. That's considered a puzzle. You could even solve that puzzle
Oh,
without being killed. Nice one.
well
Okay,
done,
she has
Hardy.
no blood on her, anything.
Nope. She keeps tidy.
She's clean.
Heidi, Heidi.
Heidi.
Great.
We have so many fans from different factions of the community.
It's
in the chat.
amazing, yeah.
We've got
I
Project
keep going-
Umbrella, we've got Resident Evil Database, we've got Residents of Evil, we've got First Aid Spray podcast.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Thanks, Artie, because I was just looking at all these names and I kept wanting to say one, then I was thinking, I don't want to leave anyone out.
I gotta go this
And
way.
just got myself into a complete silence. So yeah, it's great. We've got Mr. Spencer from Project Umbrella. We've got Stars Tyrant from Project Umbrella. Of course, as you say, Signac from First Aid Spray. JC Wesker. We've got Crimson Head Elder staff member Albert Wesker 187, David Lopez, and also great to see from Missouri Bloody Eye, who's been a long-term supporter of our interviews. And we've also got questions coming up. Mono Memory, also representing the Residents of Evil team. I see we've got Mono Memory and Kendo's meme shop.
I would
Thanks,
like
guys,
to.
so much.
I would like to give a shout out to David Lopez. I know that name.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he's been on our. He's been on our.
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
thanks. Yeah, he's been on our.
Absolutely
He's
right.
been on an interview with us.
What's up, David? David Lopez in the house.
Don't forget, I'm still here too.
And of course, the mighty Aaron Rome.
Oh, Neptune
So
has just
these-
arrived from the Project Umbrella
She's-
podcast.
Okay,
She
so
is,
all
Erin
of
is
the
the love child of Chris and Jill.
What were
and
you
so
saying,
all
Heidi?
of the names that you just listed, these are all different fan bases,
These are all fans from all over the world. I mean, I noticed we had the Selfish Gene, who was one of the first to tune in. I don't know what time it is in Australia. Selfish Gene is over in Australia, and some of these fans, like, you know, again, don't want to make Gene feel old, but they've been huge fans of this game for many years.
That's fantastic.
Like I said, we've got Mr. Spencer over in England, Neptune in England, Bloody Eye, as I said, over in Missouri. We've got Isles.
I'm
who's a
sorry,
huge
Paul.
supporter.
Let me interject for a second. We've got another great Heidi moment here.
Oh yeah, check this out.
oh.
How dare you disturb my bath?
I believe that this zombie
Yeah.
model is actually based off of Shinji Mikami. I heard
Oh,
that as a
really?
Oh, really?
rumor. I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but I heard it as a rumor. Here we go. You ready for this? Watch this.
Oh.
And then there's nothing in there.
Where's the puke? I don't see it.
Dry heave.
She's-
It's only dry heave.
She doesn't even
She
leave
has-
puke behind.
She hasn't eaten in a while. It was just a dry heave.
Oh.
But I got to tell you, zombie stank is will make pretty much anyone want to throw up. They do not smell good.
No, they do not. We're coming up on a very iconic area here. Most of us will recognize this.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I hated this.
Oh, come on, guys. Heidi and Joe.
Yes. Yes.
Shout out to Gene Venables, the Selfish Gene over in Australia, who's got up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
hello.
Thank you so
What
much,
a
Gene.
man.
Good morning.
Welcome, Gene. we have a nice study here. And what's
Oh,
that?
do you know about the ink ribbons, Heidi? Do you know about how those work?
The what?
The ink
ink
ribbons.
You see
The
those?
ink ribbons. No. What
So-
do we
so-
do with that?
Go ahead, Joe. You say it.
Well, I'm so honored. At certain points in the game, you're going to want to save your progress, right? You want to save
Okay.
where you're at.
Uh-huh.
So the ink ribbons allow you to go to. There are manual typewriters placed about the place at random, not random. I'm sure they're actually well thought out. They're throughout the mansion, and you can go to a typewriter and use the ribbon to save your spot. To
Oh,
save your place in the game.
okay.
Now, if you don't do that, if you get killed by a zombie, you go back to your last saved point. So if you play for quite some time and you don't save, you could lose a lot of progress in the game.
And that's the way that
Oh.
games used to be in the past. Typically, there's a faster way to save. You just go to the menu, you save, or like you reach checkpoints along the way. But this is the way that you would have to save in the past. It was you had to really think your strategy of what you were going to do.
Absolutely, it added very much. It added to the game, added to the tension of the game because you're like, oh, that should I save now or should I wait until I finish this one puzzle before I save, or what should I, added to the complexity of the puzzles.
Of course. Did you see that happen there, Heidi, on the screen?
Um,
When she took the shotgun off the hooks?
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't see that. No.
Okay, I will do this again.
Okay.
Heidi and Joe.
Carefully.
Yeah.
Can I just ask Heidi and Joe if they can give a shout out to
Yeah.
just say hi to Distant Memories 1996, who
Oh hi.
he writes some of the most fantastic kind of fan fictions, all kind of based on stories that would come out of the Spencer Mansion.
Oh really?
Hello.
Memories.
That's what Distant
Yeah,
Memories
that's
does.
great.
Yes.
Oh, that's so great. I think Distant Memories sent a very nice tweet out the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so nice. Yes.
That's so cool.
Okay, so here we go. One more time.
Okay.
Take note
Getting
of that.
a rifle, yes.
Yeah. Take note
But
of that.
I don't see it. Is it like strapped to her back? Where is this
Did
rifle?
you see the wall hooks move?
Did you see the wall hooks move? Did
No.
you see them rise up when
Oh.
she took the shotgun?
Yes.
Ah. Oh, you did. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Here we go.
So it's
Now that's a low key factor to keep in mind.
that the hooks are rising.
Yep.
Yes,
They've rise and
now
locked
watch.
into place.
Because what that means is
The ceiling
Oh,
trap.
here we are.
Oh,
That brought the ceiling down on her. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, this is the scene.
You can't get out. What will you do? The door won't open.
What did I do now? Wesker! Barry! Help!
Jill, you in there?
Barry? Get me out of here! The door's jammed!
Stand back! Grab my hand!
Yay!
Wonderful.
Yay. Okay, except, is there ever a scene where she does get squished?
Yes.
I mean, do you see
Yes.
her?
Yes.
So you do hear the squishing sound effects.
It can happen.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Here it comes.
Barry!
That was a close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
Okay, and so that was really fun for me to see that there are memes out there like that. I think you guys told me about that, and I was able to look up and find Jill Sandwich memes, and those are really fun.
Check.
Yes.
Anyway, we should get back to searching for Wesker and Chris.
You guys want a question real
Barry.
quick?
Sure.
I owe you one.
The question comes from
Don't
Tim, and
mention
he
it.
says, Heidi and Joe, did you have any freedom with the dialogue, or did you have to stick strictly to the script?
Ooh, pretty strictly to the script, I think. For you, Heidi, did you have any leeway at all?
Oh, absolutely not. Oh, I think you can see this is very each thing must be exactly
Yeah,
for the
don't
plot.
remember-
Yeah.
I don't remember
Yeah.
having any freedom.
No.
There may be. I think the freedom is in how you read it. I think you're free to
Yes.
interpret that, and they usually, in my experience, what they do is they will have you do 3 takes. So you'll do if the line is "Help,
Uh-huh.
Barry," you'll do it 3 ways. You do "Help, Barry" or "Help, Barry." You just read the line 3 different ways, and then they pick the one that they want. Or if they want you to do more, they'll have you do 3 more or whatever. But that's generally, in my experience, that's been kind of how it's done. You get 2 or 3 takes. How about you, Heidi? That's generally the way they work it, right?
Heidi, are you there?
Oh, we've lost Heidi. We'll get her back.
We'll get her back. Yep.
Yeah.
And I was going to quickly say, I know for so many people tuning in as well, this save room music, I mean, it's just, I don't want to say iconic. I mean, for me, it's just so melancholy and haunting. And I hadn't played too many video games.
Yeah, soothing though,
in
right?
the genre. And yeah, but also almost kind of like, it's kind of reminding you of almost for me more like historic horrors. That's why I kind of find it melancholy, kind of just thinking back. Like you see, maybe that's kind of my nature, but rather than soothing, almost makes me think about the George Trevor and all the horrors that took place, whose footsteps you're following.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then like the game just said, they've got a description of the lantern here.
Mm-hmm.
And the warm light makes you relax. This, have you been hearing what we've been saying, Heidi?
I was dropped, and so I just popped back in.
Okay. So this is our first save room.
Mm-hmm.
And it
See
has
the typewriter?
Here's the typewriter right here, so you can save your progress.
Okay.
So
if I'm going to continue on, do I save just as a save anyway? Like if I'm undecided if I'm going to go on with the game for right now?
It would be, it's usually more effective to save because in case you get killed, you will lose all of your progress.
Okay, so you always save. Every opportunity, go in and save.
And Heidi, can you hear this music in the background of the game?
A little bit.
Because if you want to turn your mic up a bit to hear it, 'cause it's very popular with the fans. We were just discussing it.
Okay. So what makes this music in particular?
With the save room music is that it typically it happens in every game. It typically is a theme that makes you feel at ease, but also has a slight hauntingness to it. But it's supposed to be you're supposed to feel the safest that you can, out of every area of these, at least these classic games for the most part.
I have to say that what was I going to say? And I had to say it.
You've got us all on tenterhooks now, Joe.
Well, it's the music in the room, and when you get into that, if you are playing this game for the first time, and you are let's say you're in a space, maybe your home, you're in your living room, your bedroom, and you're playing this game, especially for the first time, and you've been playing it for a while, you can emotionally descend into the game. I mean, the game can really pull you into it.
Mm-hmm.
And that safe room and that music can really actually have kind of a visceral effect on you. I mean, when you've been playing the game for a couple of hours and you're really into the groove, getting into that safe room can actually, you can feel yourself relax. You can feel yourself. You can feel the safety. You know that they can't get in there. There's no way that the monsters can get you. It's really
You're right,
of a
Heidi.
neat psychological effect.
It can get quite hectic in the Spencer Mansion.
That was hectic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I just say something about, we were talking about the lantern. Each of these scenes, I love the light in each one, from whether from the chandelier or that lamp there. It's the way they're illuminated, or the fireplace. It just has such a nice atmosphere. The lighting.
And Distant Memories 96 picks up on what you were saying, Joe. That, he agrees. And as you were saying that, you completely reminded me and took me back. The first time I ever played Remake, I was in the extended attic of this large, kind of quite empty house. And just like you say, particularly with that save room music, and Heidi, you mentioned the lighting as well, all these things that give extra depth to the atmosphere. And I completely agree with Joe, as Distant Memory says, that it really pulls you in emotionally. And,
it really does,
and that's when you then feel the tension, and that's when you feel it. You feel unease, and you're behind that door in the save room, and you really don't want to come out.
Is that right?
Yeah. Let's see how many of the zombies survived. They probably all did. Yeah, they did.
Jab.
So what's interesting for you, Joe, now is that as you haven't played as Jill Valentine, but you've played many times as Chris, you're seeing some of the scenes with Barry for the first time.
Not the first time. I have played through as Jill once, but just last year. I mean, so all of that time from when the game first came out up to last year, I had not played through Jill, and it wasn't that I have anything against Jill.
If you did, now's the time.
There's something you want to tell me, Joe?
No, absolutely not.
Now I know the truth after 20 years.
So what I'm doing there is I'm lighting the zombies on fire, and I'm not going to tell you why, because you're going to find out later.
Okay.
Why we have to burn them.
Those were burning zombies, not a burning carpet.
No,
we were setting the downed zombies on fire. Yes.
Okay.
The carpets in the Spencer Mansion are all made of asbestos, so they don't burn. But
Jill.
Oh.
Got any good news?
Other than I'm still alive in this madhouse? No.
Can't say safe.
No.
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I've got a funny story for it. No.
Let's split up again.
I used to wait tables with a guy named Danny, and he's from New York, and he used to, every time that was his way of saying no. And so I guess it was fresh in my memory. And I did a commercial with the same, people seem to like it, that I took Danny's no. I did a commercial here in LA, and it was for Proposition 186, which was for universal health care, or health care for all of California. And I think I said, reform, yes. 186, no. No. My own fancy steal from Danny.
That's funny.
Wonderful. That's a great
wow, just made it all the way from the
yeah,
but it's so weird, all the way from like waiting tables into the Spencer Mansion.
Right? I mean, I don't think I've heard me, a recording of me saying that I can't remember. So that's funny.
Paul,
yeah,
did Yoke make it into the chat, Paul?
Yeah, hey to Yoke. It's great to see you. He's Yoke's over in America. Long-term
Hey, Yoke.
fan.
Hello.
You know, I'm an animal lover, and I don't like these dogs. Are just not nice.
No, they're not nice.
Very poorly behaved.
So any other zombie creatures? There's zombie humans. There's zombie wolves.
Oh, you'll see more.
I'll see more.
Yeah.
My favorite, zombie shark.
Let's see, what do we got here? Still doing all right. Yeah. Now I got to twirl around.
Oh, so are they just chasing her around?
Yeah. There you go. That's how you get damage when they bite you on the hand.
Why do they sound like chimpanzees screaming when you shoot them?
I have no idea.
I wonder who did the voices for those.
Oh, I didn't have any room for that. I'll just use the herb, which was a little excessive, but I'll do it anyway. Just to
So
get
what
out of
happened?
here.
Can you use up your herb? Is that the problem?
Yeah, I just wanted to avoid being killed because I had no more self-defense items.
Joe.
Uh-huh.
Bloody Eye is pointing out that those dogs they were they were guard dogs at the end of the day.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, they were guard dogs. Yeah, and now they're zombie guard dogs.
And they live forever, right? As zombie dogs, yes? Or they're harder to kill?
Hard.
Yeah, until you toast them.
Heidi.
Yes.
Owls487. He says you're credited in a waiting table scene for The West Wing.
Yes. Yes.
Were you tempted to use the no line there?
No, I didn't. And I think I did a horrible job on that West Wing. I remember a couple of times the actors had to turn around and look at me like, you missed your cue, waitress. Because they were talking so softly and I couldn't hear them. And so I kept missing the opportunity when I went over to take the order. So it was one of my less successful parts, I have to say.
Well, you got Jill.
I did have Jill. Yes. Yes. So that and that West Wing one was just after 9/11 because
Really?
yes, Mary helped me. Her name escapes me right now. From the West Wing, Mary, not Mary Stuart Masterson. It's Mary
Steenburgen.
Now, I've got a question from Director Smiley, but before I ask this, I need to remind everyone that we have a no swearing policy.
Okay.
Did I swear?
No. Well, you might do. I'm kind of hoping you want to. Director Smiley wants to.
I just want to say that Monique has just entered the chat from Resident Evil Database.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome, Monique.
Welcome. She's so
Hello,
sweet.
darling.
Okay, we also have a little shout out to Yeti112.
And Yeti, yes.
Yeti.
Hello.
So Heidi, I just wanted to draw your attention. I just picked up what is Jill also has her own personal self-defense weapon as well as Chris does. Jill has a stun gun. So I just picked up a battery for it.
Yes, and it's rad.
It is awesome. And right here, this here is a broken shotgun, and especially for Chris, because he doesn't get somebody like Barry to rescue him, he would have to grab the broken shotgun and place it on the hooks in order to keep the regular shotgun. Otherwise, you cannot get that weapon.
Right.
So that's another thing that makes his game harder than Jill's.
Okay, so if it says, "Are you going to take the ribbon?" That's another way of saying, "Are you going to save?"
No. You have to pick it up, and then you have to get to a typewriter, and that's how you save.
Okay, so you want to plan it. So you're planning ahead by taking the ribbon.
Correct.
Okay.
And
so
you can
have you guys?
Those. You can have more than. I think you can get what is it, like a total of 9 ribbons in your inventory. You can collect them.
I don't remember what the max is. Oh, look at that.
Oh dear.
So that's a gameplay mechanic. When zombies are on stairs, they don't actually grab for you. They vomit acid at you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ew.
Oh,
There we go.
Whoa,
Jill got hit.
Oh my gosh.
We got some more shout outs, guys. So Robbie Goodoy says hi to Heidi and Jill.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Robbie.
Heidi and Joe. And question coming in. I think this was from I can't remember now. I think it was from Bloody Eye. What do you guys think of the films, of the movies? Not the official Capcom CGI ones, but have you seen those Paul Anderson attempts, the live action ones?
I have not. So go ahead, Joe.
I saw the first one, and it was fine. I don't really remember that much about them. I remember it being, just kind of average, I guess. I don't remember being knocked out by it.
Okay, Heidi, are you ready for this? This is This is why we burn zombies.
This is okay. Oh! I like that.
Does somebody want to take the helm and describe what that is? Paul,
what is
Aaron?
Aaron?
There is a. Honors. You have the picture.
I'll describe it. So what happens? And this is the first time that this was introduced into the Resident Evil series. It was a new addition for the remake. It did not. It did not happen in the original game. It did not happen in any game that preceded this one. What happens when a zombie is incapacitated the first time is that there is a process that is called the V-Act process. And it's a further mutation of the T virus, which is what everybody's infected with who becomes a zombie.
Okay.
Nerd.
And yes, nerd. And there's actually a member of the community, Evil Resident, in the chat who could really describe it. But basically, through the process, the zombies become more rabid, and their skin becomes bloodshot, and they grow longer fingernails, and they could run faster. So they become more deadly.
So it's kind of like Gatorade for zombies.
Yes, and that is it's sort of where Crimson Head Elder got the name from, but we'll get to that later on.
Oh!
There's the stun gun.
I love the stun gun. Love it.
There's the Crimson Head. Oh, this ain't good.
Oh. You're toast.
Not quite yet. I'm getting out of here. There we go.
So, Joe, when was the last time you played Remake?
Well,
Heidi got dropped again.
Okay, yeah, we lost Heidi. The last time I played it was, I think, last year when I finally played as Jill.
Let's see. Where am I going now? Oh, danger.
Oof, wow. You're almost dead.
Okay, hello, I was dropped again. So everyone beware, I'm being dropped here.
Okay.
So
you're in bad shape right now, Heidi. You're in
So
danger.
do I have, is my arm all, oh yeah, look at her arm.
Yeah.
My arm is all like bent.
You're holding your side.
I'm holding my side. Okay, so did I get drilled or something?
The worst thing that can happen to you in the Spencer Mansion is that you get an appendicitis attack. And that's what she's going through.
Okay, no, seriously, did I get drilled? Why am I holding my side?
A zombie took a nice chunk out of your neck, but for some reason the developers made the hurt animation holding your side.
Okay.
It's just a standard animation.
Okay.
I'm now trying to think. Go ahead, Aaron. Aaron? Okay. I might be losing Aaron. Trying to think of my pathway here because I think I've got quite a few zombies in my way.
We've got a question from James Steinman. I'm not sure if Heidi can kind of maybe this as we go along, because he wanted to know what Heidi and Joe think of their partner characters. So for Heidi, you have Barry Burton, and Joe has bumps into Rebecca Chambers. Have we still got Joe?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi guys. So maybe as we go along, you might want to answer that about your partner characters.
That was real close right there. But go
Okay.
ahead.
So how did you manage to avoid this guy?
I would call that one lucky. I wasn't in range when he went to grab me, and then I just spun around and just ran the other way.
And so here's my question: is it ever like when you first started playing this? Was it ever like a
Oh, absolutely.
when like the zombie comes out of nowhere or off the floor, who looks like he's dead? Does it?
Absolutely.
Oh, there's a scene coming up, Heidi, that made me jump out of my seat, and
Really?
I'll point it out when we get there. But yeah, there's a big long white hallway that we're going to go down eventually, and something happens there, and it
Oh yeah, don't ruin the moment. See if we can.
I won't.
See if we can make Heidi drop out again.
Okay.
Is my audio okay now?
Okay. So I
Aaron's
lost my
back,
partner, Barry, right? Where did Barry go? Somebody's asking me about my partner, and I'm like, well, where is my partner?
You guys decided it would be smart to split up and investigate separately.
See, I would not do that in real life.
Nope.
I would not go through this mansion by myself. No.
You're a strong woman, Jill. You can handle
Now,
Yeah, Jill Valentine can. Yes.
Joe, Heidi answered the question for ours previously that she didn't know about fan conventions, and was quite surprised that they even existed. The huge affection that there is out there for you guys. Joe, have you ever been to any conventions?
I've been to them, but not as an exhibitor. I've been to Comic-Con a couple of times, and I've seen other people with booths set up, and I never thought that I would never thought that my little Chris Redfield part would be worthy of having people actually want to talk to me. It's seems a bit of a stretch, but
well, you thought wrong, Joe. You
thought wrong, Joe. We like talking to you. We're all here with you.
That's why this whole thing is so fantastic. It's for someone who is as much of a non-celebrity as I am, to have someone actually pay attention to something that I did so long ago it's just out of this world. And I want to say thank you to all of the people who are tuning in to this event all across the world. I mean, it just blows my mind. It really does. And thank you guys for setting this up too. It's special.
Oh, absolute pleasure. I mean, it's a privilege just to present this to all the fans.
It really is.
Yeah, and there are fans out there listening now that we as a website, as a channel, wouldn't exist without them. The Project Umbrella guys, the guys from The Horror Is Alive that are all tuning in and listening. And Heidi, we missed an opportunity there asking you about your partner Barry, for you to say that famous line, Barry, where's Barry?
Barry. Oh.
That's right. Barry.
Am I supposed to say Barry, where's Barry? Can I say it three times in a row?
I think
See if I get it right.
I think
Barry, where's Barry?
I think Chris actually says Barry, where's Barry? But Jill's just always screaming for Barry because he's always going somewhere. There you go.
There you go. Where is he? Or is it Barry? I shouldn't have split up from you.
That'll
I
do just
regret
fine.
it.
That's
what?
Amazing.
Heidi, we lost you before. I had asked you a question about your experience in the booth. I mean, usually when I do a session for something, they'll ask you to do three takes on something, and then they'll pick the one that they like out of that. Is that generally your experience too?
Yes, absolutely. And so that's why I'm surprised that no, made the cut, because that would have been just something I threw in there, for the heck of it. And here it is in the game.
And yet they took it, right? Yeah.
Nice shot.
Yeah, definitely.
Nicely done. Jeez.
Nice shot, Jill. That took his
Okay,
head
but
right
Jill,
off.
Here's the thing. Jill has not yet been like shocked. She just turns around there and she's like, bang. She's not surprised by any of this.
She's a bad.
Am I wrong?
She will be. Oh, I got caught in the fire there, but that's all right. That's minor.
Okay, so should she flame these guys afterward? Should she shoot them and flame them?
Absolutely, because that one that resurrected, They will all resurrect that way if you do not do that.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, Heidi, that little gas canister thing there that he just refilled his gas flask
Uh-huh.
on. You have a limited amount of gasoline that you can collect from places around the mansion
Right.
to
Oh, okay.
burn these guys with. And if you run out of that stuff, then you won't be able to burn the guys, and they can still come after you.
Well, so you have to be careful how much you pour out, or using it, period.
Using it.
Yeah, just being
Yeah.
judicious as to when and how you use it. That's
Okay.
what makes it. It's one of the great things about the game. Almost all games that have inventories, you have to plan out how you use these things. I really like the inventory system in Resident Evil 4.
Now, Joe, you've mentioned that you're also a big fan of Resident Evil 4.
Oh yeah.
If you had to pick a favorite of Remake or Resident Evil 4, which one would it be and why?
Oh gosh.
Big question.
That's it. Yeah, that's tough.
That's a
I mean,
question.
they're both so great in their own ways. I really like the story in 4. I like the characters. But I think I'd have to go with my favorite being 1, of course, just because it was the first experience. Before I did the voiceover for Remake, I wasn't a gamer, and when the game came out, I went and got it because I wanted to see what I sounded like in a video game, and it basically opened a vortex into a never-ending love affair with video games, and that's how I became a gamer.
Oh, really?
So,
Because you
yeah,
bought your game?
Yeah. I
Oh, that's
totally
fascinating.
fell in love with it, and so now I've played a lot of. God, I hate these guys.
Oh, yeah. Who's looking through the window? That was spooky.
Yeah, he just
Who's
busts through
looking
that
the
window.
Oh.
All zombies. Joe, here's your moment. It's coming.
Oh,
is this the long hallway we're talking about?
Yep.
It's those freaking dogs.
The dogs?
Oh yeah.
They jump
Okay.
right through the windows.
When they
And
jump through the windows.
Heidi, we have a question for you from the Claire Witch Project, and they ask, how did you come across the role, and what made you take it?
Wait, it came through my agent, and I just read for it. I had no idea who Jill Valentine was, or Resident Evil, anything, and I auditioned and I got the job, and I was really thrilled to get the job. And I'm even more thrilled today that I got the job, because who knew people would be talking about it 20 years later? I mean, I just had no idea that this was such a popular game, and that Jill Valentine is such an important character, especially for females in the video game world, and so that is just a thrill. And so I remember one of the earlier questions was about the movies, and I remember walking past a movie poster and having it say Resident Evil, and I was like, oh, I was in that game, and just kept walking. That's how oblivious I was to how popular this was and is still today. And so I'm really thrilled. So thrilled that I was a part of it. I just am. And then when people say that somebody said they grew up with my voice, it's like, wow, that's just.
Isn't that crazy?
It's amazing. It is amazing, but I
It's what we
completely
do.
understand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so that's a thrill for me. It really is. And just like Joe, I'm just so happy and flattered that people have responded well to our voices.
The best voices.
Oh.
So Jill just picked up another weapon that is exclusive to her game. Chris does not get to have this weapon. Sorry, Chris.
I know. It kills me.
It is the rocket launcher, which was in the possession of another Bravo team member who was slumped over in that chair. His name is Forrest Speyer. So we have discovered another Bravo team member.
That
and
bit
a
it.
little bit more. He bit the dust, but there's something going on here.
Oh no! Is he?
There he is.
Is he possessed?
Yep.
Not for long. He didn't even get a line. Did he get a line?
No, he didn't.
No. Okay.
Yeah, he did. His line was.
There you go. I think in the cast list, I think Ed Smarin, who voices Barry, I think he is Forrest's grown.
Is he?
I'm not entirely sure. If
That's
somebody
awesome.
could confirm that, that'd be great. Okay, I want to put that away. I don't want to use all the ammo on that. Pick up another dagger.
We should call Ed and Peter and get them on here.
Oh man, that would be epic. That would be.
Well, I gotta say, I mean,
that would be the whole Alpha team right there, Joe.
Listening to Heidi talking before, you've just been so fantastic back to the fans as well. You know, you've come on a podcast with us. You so graciously read a translation of a Biohazard sound drama. You know, if you remember, I'm sure you remember.
That's right.
Yeah, the Jill Valentine, the Michova village tragedy.
Oh yeah.
And Joe, you know, you're mentioning Ed Smarin and Peter Jessup. Of course, we did that podcast where you guys did a quiz. We you know, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I had the balls to do that, but we
did a quiz.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I could never do it.
That's why we're taking you through this right now. That's why we're journeying you
We had
too.
Ed, just seeing who knew the most about their characters, and I think actually Ed Smarin, Barry Burton voice actor, won that.
The winner at the end of that.
That's right.
But you were such good sports, and you know, the point being, you've been just so fantastic and down to earth with us, and you know, so generous with your time, and that was a great moment for us to do that quiz.
Well, it's an honor to be asked. It really is.
I always kick myself. I've told Paul this countless times, but I always kick myself for not acquiring Heidi's contact information sooner, because then the four of you could have been on the same podcast. It would have been the entire Alpha team of stars on one podcast. Basically, the main characters of Alpha Team, that is.
Well, you know, there's still a possibility. We might be able to get something like that together. I'd do it. Heidi, did you do it?
Did Heidi drop out again? Yeah,
I think we did.
Yeah, we lost her again. Keeps dropping
Joe,
out.
Joe, back from that podcast, Bloody Eye asks. I think you mentioned about Barry Burton. You thought it sounded like a used car dealership.
Very
what?
Burton's used car dealership.
Heidi, were you hearing about when I was saying about acquiring your contact info to get you on the podcast by any chance?
No, I was dropped again. I just came back.
Okay.
So, what were you saying?
Yeah. So just to reiterate really quickly, I still kick myself to this day. I tell Paul this, that I didn't acquire. I didn't join the community until about 2 years ago, right before I got your contact information. So they had already done the podcast with Joe and Peter and Ed, and I was like, if I had just been there sooner, it could have been the four of you as like the Stars Alpha team, like the entire group could have been on that one podcast, and it would have been pretty epic.
Oh, that would have been great. But it's great now. We all connected, so that's really great. And then what is this from Jill's point of view?
That is from a zombie's point of view.
Oh, so he's coming after me? Oh, geez.
Yeah. He just
and of
went
course
through
she
the door.
trips.
Yep.
Why does that?
But what happened to Jill's injuries?
She healed herself with the herbs.
The herb took care of it?
Or the first aid spray, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you didn't smoke them.
No.
She just walked out of the room?
I'm conserving ammo.
Oh, okay. How come? And then why isn't the zombie following?
Oh, they don't have doorknob skills.
Oh, so if you leave them in a room,
they're pretty
stuck.
much there.
Okay.
We've got a question that's come in for Joe. Hey, Joe, can you hear me? Is my sound okay?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about this before, you know, with you being a gamer, and you know, it's a fantastic point, you know, with regard to how you as a player can feel the tension, you know, if you're playing with a character that's vulnerable, as you know, as opposed to a superhero. And Lakota Soldier 84 has asked what your opinion is of what your thoughts are on the evolution of the Chris Redfield character. Obviously in consequent installments with Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, we've actually talked about that before, and it's I feel like Capcom took they took the whole thing really in a direction that denies the sort of emotional reality of the original, and I feel like it lost. It was still 5 and 6 are still exciting games to play on their own, but I don't. But I feel like they're totally different from the original game. I mean, this game that we're playing right now has a certain tone. It has a certain vibe, and I feel like 2, 3, 4 still had the vibe. 5, no. 6, no. 7 is in a completely different universe. So this is what I love. This original story, this original vibe, this original feel, the look, you can almost smell the musty carpet in the Spencer Mansion. That's that's what I love about it.
There's a classic gameplay mechanic, with the restrictions in the controls. It gives you the ability to check things, like, with the text messages coming up. The newer games tend to leave those out because a lot more things are interactive visually. And that's what's kind of lost with the newer games, in a way, I feel.
Yeah, I fully agree. Fully agree. There's a fantasy aspect to this gameplay that is not realistic. And I feel that as games get more and more realistic, they lose a bit of the how do you put it? It's almost like reading a fictional novel. The more realistic it is, the less you lose the fictional. Oh, I wish I was a smarter person. Yeah, it's
immersion.
You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between obviously there's a difference between reality and fantasy. This still has that fantastic aspect to it.
Otherworldly, like you're taken away.
Otherworldly, like you're exactly right. You can get lost in it. You can get lost in the fiction of it.
In this one, you're saying.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and in some newer games, they're too realistic, and it loses a little bit of that.
Escapism.
I would say that. I wish that I could put my thoughts into words right now. It's kind of like the difference between reading a novel by Bram Stoker. The style in which it's written is archaic, and you are almost pulled into that Victorian mindset. And as opposed to reading Stephen King, which is very modern, this has that old school vibe to it. It's almost like watching a horror movie from the 40s or the 50s, as opposed to watching a new horror movie. Do you know what I'm getting at? I mean, does it make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I've heard Heidi in the past talk about how beautiful you feel this game looks. That was one of the things I think you said that surprised you when you first saw the screenshots. But whilst it does look stunning, at the same time, it does have that feel, like you say, that kind of classic retro feel, but that makes you feel not that you're in kind of some modern pharmaceutical laboratory, which perhaps it is more reminiscent of Resident Evil 2. But yeah, like you say, it's a mansion with a history.
Yeah, I mean, I just, again, as I was mentioned before, I'm really the set is just, the settings are plush. This hallway in particular, with the stained glass and the paintings, and then even just on the walls you can see where like there's parts that are falling apart. It's decrepit in certain areas, and they patched it back together. I mean, the detail in this mansion is just incredible. I love the artwork, and again, the way the light shines through the room, and what's lit and what's dark, and what's illuminated by it. I mean, I really appreciate
and that's
that.
that's the core. That's the core of Resident Evil. When it comes down to it, It really is.
Absolutely.
You look at those lights.
You know, Heidi, the difference between this game and newer games is that this is what they call pre-rendered backgrounds. So all of these camera angles are locked off. And the people who made the game, they built the models, they painted them, and then they basically what you're looking at is a static camera angle that doesn't change, and so you can actually paint over that shot to increase the quality of the look, the detail. Because back then, your computer would not have been strong enough to run in real time. If those were real time assets and you were running a character around, the computers would not have been strong enough to hold up to that detail. Now you can do it. You can actually have a game with that amount of detail that you can run through in real time. But back then they figured out, well, in order to get this amount of detail, we have to lock the camera, and we have to, put the detail into these locked off shots. That's why this game was groundbreaking. I don't know how many other games. I don't know.
I mean, look at the wallpaper.
Yeah, exactly.
Peeling off and cracked.
Yeah,
but they could only do that. They could only do that in a situation where it was locked off.
The only thing that's in real time right now is Jill, because she's actually a 3D model. This is actually more. This is more like sort of like an enhanced fixed painting, if you will. I think it's based on a 3D model, but it can be enhanced because it's only static.
And for your performance, sorry, Artie.
Well, I just wanted to say real quick before we continue, we're about to see Joe again, but in a different light right here.
Richard.
Oh, there he is.
You're wounded.
I have a hernia.
There are monsters.
Monsters.
What did this to you?
A big snake. And it had to be poisonous.
Poisonous? Richard, hold on.
Bring me serum. I saw some, but didn't bring any.
I'll go and get it, okay? You're gonna make it.
Should have brought it, Richard.
Yeah.
See, it was actually asking.
There was a giant mutated snake.
But you guys, I'm just surprised she's surprised. What did this to you? She's just seen these wolves. She's seen these zombies. Why is that even a question?
And did I, Joe and Heidi,
did we see a big snake yet? No, we did not.
No, but she's been bitten, and I mean, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. And I mean, what's unique about his wound that she wouldn't have gotten something like this?
Oh, you're going to find out.
Big snake.
You're going to find out.
All right.
Also, Joe, everybody's happy that you're a game nerd.
I love it.
Another question.
Joe is a game nerd?
Sorry, Artie, if I can just interject there, Artie. Another question we've got for Joe and Heidi. Did you take any, I think Heidi mentioned this with the waiter, did you have any real-life inspirations behind your performances?
Oh, golly. I mean, he's kind of an everyman. I mean, it's just speaking for myself, he's kind of an amalgam of all the characters that I've seen in movies who were stuck in a situation where they had to be brave, I think I've mentioned before my concept of bravery and heroism is, people who got stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time and managed to pull something out from inside of themselves that they didn't know they had. I mean, my idea of a real hero is not someone who walks around going, "Oh, don't worry about it, I'll kill him."
Superhero-esque or arrogant.
Right, exactly.
Sort of
arrogant,
too confident, overconfident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heroes happen by accident, as far as I'm concerned. In most cases, I think most people who've been called heroes will tell you that they didn't plan on that happening. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Shoot.
So for me, I think I just came in thinking, okay, they like what I did, and so I just did what I did in the audition, and they had to stop me. I've told this story before where they're like, no, Jill is much tougher than this. She is much stronger, and so I really had to toughen up my act.
Well, I remember you saying that on the podcast, and I really that's what draws me to your performance, though, is that because you had that vulnerable side, but then they were able to make you tougher, so you were able to balance the two. So some of the other incarnations of Jill where they, whereas they are great performances, some of them seem like a little too stoic or a little too resigned. Maybe it's because she's progressed as a character and she's more desensitized to the whole situation. But what I enjoyed about your performance is how human it seemed and how vulnerable it seemed, while also being tough enough to get through the ordeal.
Yeah, that was all because of them. So I came in, with the more vulnerable side, and then we added the layer of toughness on top of it. So I really had no framework to come into this with. They really helped me to get there. And so, in that way, that makes it more interesting.
Were you guys ever given sort of, I know limited biographies, but we've got a question from Vincent Goldman, representing Resident Evil Survivor. A fantastic game. Were you ever considering or given attention to the other characters? So did you ever consider, Joe, what Chris's relationship was with Jill, and Heidi, what Jill's relationship was with Chris?
Go ahead.
Well, I have to say no. Again, during in the process of doing the voiceover for the game, I was really not given very much information at all, especially about Chris's relationship to other characters. I think I may have gotten some information about Rebecca, that she's kind of a little sistery sort of character. Yeah, I mean,
but I think that kind of doesn't that kind of lend to your performances that everyone's so enjoyed, the fact that you weren't given these particular biographies and that you just both kind of just played it how it felt quite naturally, and that's why it didn't come across as kind of like an over the top superhero.
Yeah, I agree. I wish that we could go back and redo it. I mean, the last time we spoke, Heidi, you had mentioned about other jobs that you've done where you're performing with the other characters, and how much more natural the dialogue can sound when you get a chance to do that. And I wish that they had done that with this game. I understand that they need to have everybody's dialogue separate from the others for editing reasons.
How was he behind that?
I love this kitchen.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So sorry, I pushed that shelf out of the way, and he was just behind there. Maybe
he was just behind, like a rat coming out, like roaches from behind.
Like was he hiding? Did he pull that thing?
Yeah.
In front of him,
has he been waiting? Was he trapped there this whole
closet?
time?
Exactly.
Why was he in the closet? Yes, and yeah, I agree with Joe. It really would have been much better if, even just in that scene where I'm helping Richard, who did this to you? What did this to you? If we could have actually had, hold on, or if I had been able to say, if it had been more conversational, it did sound like it was picked up and dropped in there, as opposed to us relating to each other.
Yeah.
And Heidi, we've got a question from Freaky Deek. Were you directed to have that kind of that overall calm, cadence to your delivery? Because he mentions that Jill Valentine, her portrayal in the original game was perhaps far too over the top as compared to your calmer portrayal.
I just, he didn't compare me to the previous actress at all, and if I had seen on video what was happening actually, like Joe's experience was, I may not have been quite so calm, because I would have been reacting to the the frightening nature of the artwork and the situations, and I might have recoiled at some points when the zombies were all of a sudden there, or the wolves were there, or it's a spooky room, or just now when the zombie came from behind the cabinet. So I think being oblivious to what was really happening in the story helped me to be calm.
Well, being oblivious probably helped you with the character, because they're all like sort of oblivious to what's going on until they discover everything else later on.
Yes, but even the frightening, just the whole frightening setting, shooting from the foggy forest, and then to seeing the spooky mansion away in the distance and running towards it, all of that really would help to change what I was doing as an actress. But since I didn't have it, and I was just going by what it said on the page, and they'd say, okay, and now you're in a room and you're walking up the stairs, and just let's hear some exertion noises. So I go, or stab somebody and make an exertion sound, like that. And so I wouldn't really see really what was going on just by what they told me. So I think it was more a design. My calm demeanor was more a design of my situation actually in the sound booth, and them
awareness.
telling me how capable I was as a character, and things were less of a struggle for me.
Sorry, Heidi. Have either of you two come across the voice actors that have taken on the roles in in further installments in Resident Evil 5? What was it, Roger Craig Smith? I know, Joe, you've spoken about Roger before.
Yeah, I've never met him. Would like to. He seems like a great guy. Who was the other guy? DC Douglas did one.
Wesker.
That was Albert Wesker, DC.
Oh, he did, right? Yeah.
Kevin Dorman was another multiple time Chris.
Right. No, don't know him. Never met him. I think it would be amazing to get all the Chris's together in one room.
That would be something.
That's funny. And DC Douglas actually was very nice to me when I first got on Twitter. He did a shout out for me, which was really sweet. And I don't know him. He's just a friend of my friend Quentin Flynn. And so, yeah, that was nice. And the only way that I know about the other actresses who played Jill Valentine is, you see it on YouTube. These are the Jill Valentine actresses. And they've got some lady named Heidi Anderson, who's not me, and then, and then a couple of the other actresses. So
that's why it was so hard to find you, Heidi.
Yeah, there was confusion with that for a while.
Yeah.
Joe, I'm going to send you a link. We've had a link from a chap who's both passionate about Resident Evil and Lego, and he combines those two passions and makes Lego versions of Resident Evil, and has done one of your characters. So I'm going to send you that link.
Oh, great.
So we're about to find out.
Shout out, guys, to I know you're familiar with these guys because they interviewed you for a fantastic interview that I know that you both did for The Horror Inside. I think we've got both perhaps Brandy and Dylan from The Horror Inside.
Oh, yay! Hey, hi,
hello.
And just to thank Stars Tyrant real quick, because he said nice crit, which means critical hit. I popped the zombie's head off.
Oh, okay.
Totally unrelated.
So, what's the word? The nice crit?
Crit. For critical hit.
Crit. Okay.
Nice crit.
Nice crit.
Okay. All right. I've got a question for you.
Sure.
Who's heard this term, sped? You're a sped.
Sped.
I feel like I might have heard that once in passing, but not very often.
Okay, it's my son said this yesterday. He said, "Oh yeah, we called him a sped," and I'm like, "What is a sped?" And he said, "It's an abbreviation for special ed kid. So it's like saying you're a retard." And I was like, "Wow, interesting." So I'm sorry, that was my
boy.
I know, terrible.
No, that's okay. Nobody in the chat get all outraged. It's just
I'm just
similarity.
repeating what I heard.
Right.
Well,
So,
I
Exactly.
can stay tuned if we want a question real quick.
I was just going to say
Yeah.
really quick before we continue, we're about to figure out another skill of Jill's right now.
Oh.
That's right. She's a musician.
Notice they don't have a close-up on her hands.
You can't play the piano, Heidi.
Of course I can't. My mom played, and so I grew up listening to this kind of thing, but never learned to play myself.
That's still a neat tie-in.
Yeah. In fact, I thought I could sing, and I remember one time I was in choir, and I was singing loudly, and the choir teacher asked me to stay after class so he could chat with me. And I was like, oh, he's going to tell me how great I am. I need a solo. And he said, you are so off key. I'm going to put you next to somebody who has a stronger voice.
Oh my god. This file right here,
poor
by the
Heidi.
way, this file right here is where Paul got his alias for the Resident Evil community, George Trevor. This is the character's diary.
Oh.
And he is the architect that designed the estate, the Spencer Mansion. He has quite a tragic journey in here, but I won't. I'll just breeze through this because it's too much to read.
You know,
Boy.
I'm one of those. I'm one of those players who takes the time to read all of the little things that pop up.
Oh, always. Yeah.
I play. I play.
How does
Warcraft.
it add? Does it add for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate the story of the game, so I want to read every little tiny thing. I play World of Warcraft, and in World of Warcraft, on the Paranold server as Steelhorse. Thank you very much. If anybody wants to join me, I'm probably one of the only people who actually take the time to read books that I find in the environment. Some writer put their heart and soul into those things. I mean, I think
Yeah.
And that's the really.
we should write them.
Go ahead,
read
Paul.
them.
Go ahead, Paul.
No, I'll come in after Joe because I interrupted Joe there.
Well, no,
No,
that was
I'm
me. Joe's done. I interrupted you.
Oh well, no, that's fine. You can shut up, Artie. No, okay. No, I was just going to say that's the thing that really got me when I played this game for the first time was the fact that you can delve into the narrative so much deeper by reading
absolutely.
these really tragic stories. And I was quite new to these types of video games at the time, so I was quite taken aback that you've got this guy that his wife's been tortured and died, and his daughter's been incarcerated, and maybe naively so. I was quite shocked at the kind of not the adult nature, but kind of the depressing nature, but almost in a good way that it really hooked me in, and I wanted to know more, and I wanted to trace these tragic footsteps through the mansion and see what finally happened to him. And Heidi, there's more letters as you go on.
That's another appeal of the series is that there's always another story there. You are essentially walking into another story that is taking place prior to you getting there. That you find out the history of everything that goes on. It may seem a little artificial and a little unrealistic because it's always someone's diary or it's always someone's report or file. You may not always get that, but that was the game's way of actually giving you exposition and further developing the story and how you're going through this ordeal.
Absolutely.
I love the
Have you got any
lightning.
questions that are coming in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the lightning detail is great. I'm sorry, what was that, Paul?
Well, I was just saying, Artie, we've spoken quite a lot. I was going to hand over to Oracle if she had any questions coming in from the fans. Have we still got Oracle Dragon with us?
The Discord keeps acting up. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's happening.
Yeah, the mansion wants to kick me out for some reason.
I've been kicked out a couple times.
Well, I'll ask this question from JC Wesker, then I'll hand over to Oracle Dragon. Is your sound okay?
And look at the
It's one of
tile.
those questions that really praises your performance, but at the same time, I hope doesn't make you guys feel too old. Joe and Heidi, Jonathan Clark, JC Wesker what asks, how do you feel, in 2019 now, knowing that these characters and your performances have resonated, so deeply with so many fans, in so many different parts of the world?
I think it's fantastic. I can only imagine you feel the same way, Heidi. It's I've done other things that I've spoken to people about. If you're familiar with the movie Emperor's New Groove from Disney,
Yes,
I have 8 characters in that film.
Whoa.
That
And
you voiced?
yeah,
Wow.
Oh my.
and because I was working at Disney Animation at the time as an artist, as a 3D modeler, and I did tons of Scratch. And all of the dialogue that I have in Emperor's New Groove came from doing Scratch dialogue, which is dialogue that's replaced. The animators will do Scratch dialogue for a movie to time out the sequences, and then they'll replace that with the actual actors that they hire. But sometimes the people that they do Scratch do a good job, and it's good enough to keep in the film, and that's what happened to me. But I've had people tell me that they watched that movie when they were kids, and that those were some of their favorite characters. I mean, it's something simple like at the beginning, there's a guard that says, "I'm sorry, but you've thrown off the Emperor's groove." So, it's just one little one-off line, but kids, they just resonated with it. The other really big one was, I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home? And I teach at Cal Arts in the fall, and some of the kids that I've taught, when they find out that I did these voices, they just say, "You were a part of my childhood." And as with payback time.
Whoa.
Oh, that's
oh, I missed.
No. There's 2 snakes, or is it one?
Just the one snake.
There's one. Wow.
It's the one that hurt Richard.
Yeah. So I feel, when someone says that it's a piece of work that I did 20 years ago, we've
got a moment here with you, Joe.
Look out, Heidi!
Ah.
Nom, 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 nom.
Sorry, Joe, we interrupted you.
Tell my wife I love her.
Yes, exactly. Wow, he's coming after me.
Yes, he is.
Wow.
Sorry, Joe, we interrupted you when you were answering JT's question.
we had to get that.
That was awesome. No, the thing is, as a performer, what do you do it for? You do it to affect people. You perform to give people a chance to get out of their real life, to experience something outside of themselves that allows them to feel something that they wouldn't normally be able to feel. So when you have someone come up and say, "Wow, you gave me that moment," it's, I don't know how to describe it. It's just a wonderful feeling. It's what you do it for.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yeah. I completely agree. And for me, especially, as an artist, someone who's I spent many years acting and not getting that many parts, really, and also then writing screenplays and having them mostly ignored, And so to have done
me too.
something that people know and people like, it's nice to be appreciated.
Yes,
It's really nice to be appreciated. And in fact, I just said this to someone the other day. She said, "So what's this with you and this Resident Evil thing?" And I said, it's amazing. You know, I work hard all day long, and you know, and I did this one game 20 years ago, and people appreciate it and they like it, and it feels so good to be appreciated. So that's my thing, and I just really am so thankful, and you guys have brought just so much happiness to me over this, and it's great.
Yeah, me too.
And I
I
think
feel
it's
the same
that
way.
it's that intimacy, isn't it? You know, that people have resonated, not maybe so much with the mocap, but because it's your voice.
Yeah.
And from that, I think that's what creates that closer connection.
Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I feel like the cast as a whole in this game was the best grouped cast of the characters that we have, like Jill, Barry, Chris, Wesker. I feel like they're the best grouped because they all seem to get the right tones of the characters, even in their voices, but nothing seems exaggerated or like stereotypical. Like, you know, Barry has his voice, but he doesn't seem like, oh, I got a beard and I'm like gruff, tough Barry. Like, you know, like
right.
I don't have.
No, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, and Chris
I
doesn't
have a beer with Barry.
Right, exactly. And Chris isn't like, you know, yeah, well, you know, we'll see about that. You know, well, I'm gonna save the day. Like, you know, he's not acting too cocky or, you know, anything like that. It seemed the most human group. Like even Wesker. I mean, Peter said on the podcast, he said when he did it that he was just acting like the captain of the team. You know, then you find out that he's evil later on. There's no, like, you know, sort of like over the top, like, you know, I'm going to take over the world and mustache twirly, you know, stuff going on. But this is coming from my personal opinion. I know that there are other opinions out there for fans with their favorites. That's from my standpoint. So I really enjoy you guys and your performance.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm glad that I was a part of it, you know. I'll always be glad. It was great.
Ready for a quick question?
Yeah.
Oh, by all means, yeah.
Yeah.
When was the first time you two were able to talk to each other?
Was that podcast? the previous podcast?
No, I think Paul connected us on a Skype chat.
Oh, that's
a few months ago, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. I didn't. You guys were so, you know, so great to speak with us, and we arranged this. But I know that you've also spoken before. Am I right with Brandon? Sorry, with Dylan and Brandy on the Horror Inside podcast.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that was fun.
So you're in lots of places for your fans to check you out on YouTube.
It's so funny, again, saying, you know, that we were in this iconic game together and never knew each other for all those years. I knew there were other people involved, but I had no idea where they were, what they were doing. You know, it's just a really, really bizarre thing.
Yeah, and we still haven't met actually in person, you know.
And we
haven't met in person.
No, we haven't. I have, you know, other than the pictures on your Facebook. We're friends on Facebook.
We're friends on Facebook. Yes, we are. Yes.
Which I guess is the next best thing to real life these days.
Yeah.
Sadly.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's nice to know you, Joe.
I was curious to ask Heidi actually, whether. Oh, Heidi, I was curious for this kind of genre of video game and how you've approached it with your experience and perhaps you know, with your kids playing. Have you maybe been surprised at the level of not necessarily the level of violence, but how kind of sort of little gunfire that there is, you know, compared to maybe more modern video games? The fact that, you know, ammo is limited, and you know, it certainly isn't crawling, you know, with enemies and creatures. There's certainly that slower pace to it.
So you're asking me how comparing this to other video games which are more violent?
Yeah, I just wondered if you maybe had preconceptions that maybe there would be more, you know, more violence in it and kind of more combat in this game.
I had no idea what this. I didn't even know there was a horror genre, and all I knew, and just vaguely from what I'd heard in the media, it was about the violent video games, and we don't have those here, so I've never actually seen one actually played, but I've heard about them. And my son, several years ago, went to a friend's house and they played one of those games, and he was struck by how violent it was and how easily people would kill another human being, and also the way the women are depicted and how they would just and what they were doing with women. And it took him, he didn't like it, and I'm glad he didn't like it. We just don't have that stuff, and I really think it does have a way of desensitizing people to harming another human being or treating another human being in a demeaning way. Now this is like a complete horror fantasy, and people are being violent with zombies and zombie wolves and huge snakes, so that's quite a bit different from an actual physical human. So I feel like this has there's more detachment from it, from the violence that's happening in it. For me, that's how I interpret it anyway, and it does feel more fantasy.
There's a huge difference, Heidi, between this type of violence and the type of violence game like Grand Theft Auto, where the violence is completely gratuitous. You've got characters running over people on the street. The violence in Resident Evil is coming from a detached source. There's no brain behind a zombie. The zombies are not, they're not people. They're just an evil force coming after you. So you're not actually killing something that has a life. That it's pure evil. So therefore, it's okay to kill that. I think some of the video games like Grand Theft Auto that the violence is, I want to say, more personal. It's almost like you should feel bad about doing some of the things in GTA that you do because they're morally reprehensible. But that's part of the game, is that you get to go do crazy stuff in this world. I mean, I don't know. I don't play video games.
And don't they also then don't they go into a strip club or something as well?
Oh yeah, it's a very mature, and when I say mature, I don't mean emotionally mature. I mean it's meant for quote unquote mature audiences.
Yeah, and so young kids are playing it, mostly young boys.
Sure.
And that this is, I don't know, that rubs me
It
really
normalizes
the wrong
that
way.
behavior. Yeah, it
really
normalizes
does.
that behavior.
Yeah.
And
Joe, do you feel that the type and the level of violence and combat in the Resident Evil games, as you've seen it as a gamer, has that changed in any way for you? And how do you feel, if there has been a change, that's affected the gameplay?
Have I seen it change over time? I think that one thing that seems to be a constant in the Resident Evil games is that when it's usually because they deserve it, or they are a zombie, mindless killing machine, and it's you're not killing them out of you're killing them for your own survival.
Yeah.
There's never, you're never being aggressive by taking a life. You're always defending yourself.
That's true.
Michael Dragon, we've got some questions coming in. I don't know, did you notice some? I think JC Wesker had one. Can you see that?
Actually, quite a few questions that we're missing here, but I'll go to JC's real quick. JC Whisker says, sorry for the re-ask for Heidi. How do you feel about your Jill Valentine in a world where strength and independence in women is more important than ever?
So how do I feel about strength? Repeat that again.
How do you feel about your Jill Valentine in a world where strength and independence in women is more important than ever?
Oh, I like it. I mean, especially when we're talking about what we just were about some of the other video games where they depict women as, prostitutes, and that this
Yeah.
is the way that, or strippers, and that this is the way you behave with them. Where I mean, and I think that we as women get both of these messages all the time. Especially with social media, the way to get more people onto your to follow you is to put mostly naked pictures of yourself up as a woman. It's horrible. I just think that that's a really terrible message for women
Completely.
to have and for men to have about women.
Absolutely.
That is definitely a true
You
statement.
know?
Yeah.
And I have to say that also with some of the music that's out there where they're talking about women and they're
Yep.
referring to them as hoes and bitches. And I'm like, you just dehumanized a whole, half the population by calling them that. You can still sing a song and say you don't like somebody and you don't like what they did without dehumanizing women and making them, into these less than human beings. And so
Yep.
what I like about Jill is she is very strong. She is facing the demons and she's getting through it in a very brave fashion, more so than I would myself. I would not have let Barry too far from me to go through this. But nonetheless, she's doing it and not cringing or recoiling from the task. She's going to do what needs to be done. And so I really appreciate that. And that's been a great, great honor for me to be the voice of a character like that.
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it is wonderful.
He got me.
You got me? Oh.
Yeah, got you once.
Oh, wait.
Got you once.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, we got me once?
Just
Oh,
once. Just once.
We've got another question here for you, Heidi, from the Project Umbrella podcast, the Project Umbrella guys. You've already seen the snake,
Yeah.
and we know that this is the first time you're watching the full gameplay.
Mhm.
In your imagination, what do you think is going to be the most outlandish monster that you think you're going to encounter during the game?
Well, is there a plant or something?
There is, and there's
Is there a big plant?
and there's much more as well.
And isn't there some kind of an aqua creature that busts out of water or something?
Yeah, Joe mentioned it earlier.
Oh. Well, I think the question came from that aqua creature because his profile avatar is Neptune. So I think.
Oh, okay. There we go. So I think we're on the same page, me and Neptune. Yeah. So I have a vague recollection. And there's I call him a name, a crazy name. You viral what freak? How does it go?
Oh, that's the final boss. You've seen it before. You call it a viral cultured freak.
Yes.
One.
We're going to have to get you to do that line again, Heidi. If you say bold
You
to ask.
viral cultured freak.
There
That
you
was
go.
one of the questions
There
that was
you
from
go.
earlier. What were your most hated lines?
Well, that would be one. It's just a little awkward. And I think I heard one earlier where I was like, oh, geez, that sounded terrible. And I'm not sure if it was the writing or my delivery, but it did not sound good. And I'm not sure which. It was a good hour.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Another question that came in that said, did Heidi ever play or see Resident Evil 3, and did she have to rely on Catherine Disher's version of Jill for a voice reference?
Did Heidi drop out again? That might have happened right at the end there. I heard a little. I heard a little bit of distortion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we lost her.
Yeah.
Not again. Would somebody please stop dragging
Oh, I think she's back. I think she's back, guys.
Not yet.
Keeps being kicked out and returning for more.
I can't remember. if I had any lines that I didn't like.
Did you enjoy playing Richard?
I felt a little funny because my memory of doing Richard is
Okay.
not. Hey, there she's back.
Hey, I'm back. Hello.
Hey, Wesker keeps jamming the signal. He keeps kicking you out of the line.
Oh, I love this. What are these? Are tombstones? Is this a graveyard?
We're back in the. Back in
the crypt. Essentially,
the dungeon.
The dungeon? Did I just not notice these things?
Yeah,
before?
these are those 4 death masks that we were talking about having to get.
Oh, the death masks.
Yes.
Okay.
That line that I said about Wesker jamming the signal, by the way, that was from somebody in the chat. That was from someone named Bailey from the Resident Evil database fandom.
Oh, yes.
So nice one.
Yes.
I think we had a question for Heidi just before she dropped out.
Yes.
Yeah, I was reading it.
Oh wait, hold on. This is where.
Oh.
Whoa.
This Heidi.
Oh my gosh.
Paul,
What's
do you want
this?
do you want to take this one?
Well, I'll let you explain and I'll explain later. Go on.
What's happening? This is horrible. At the Chamber of Horrors.
It's a vampire that. Nice.
That Heidi is the Crimson Head Elder.
Oh, that is?
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
The first
And
of its kind.
but I didn't see a close-up. I want to see what it really looks like, right?
He's dead now. I can't get the camera angle to change. Oh wait, here we go.
That's the Crimson Head Elder.
That was the Crimson Head Elder.
How did it get the name Crimson Head Elder?
They call it that because another name for it is the prototype. It was the first of the Crimson Heads when they were experimenting with the T virus.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, and she's back out again. She keeps going down to that dungeon.
Oh,
What?
She's never going
done.
back down there again. She's done.
Yeah, she's done now.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you have to get the 4 masks, bring him down there, and then release that guy, toast him, and then.
Artie,
take
there's
the little
just quickly,
objects.
there's a message for you in the just in the PM in the Discord.
Okay.
Okay.
I gotta say, Artie, you're playing extremely well.
I'm trying.
I don't play this well. I usually have died a dozen or 2 times by now.
And I'm afraid I can't appreciate anything you're doing because I wouldn't. So okay. So you said, was there a question from me, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, there was. It was right when I asked you.
You got me.
Oh.
Wow, she just pushed everybody away.
I can't believe you survived that.
We're not gonna. The chat has been telling me the entire time that they're like, you cannot let Heidi die. You cannot let her die.
Oh.
and that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Jill is staying alive.
That's right.
Staying alive.
Ready for the question again, Heidi?
Yes, I'm
why
ready.
Did that work? Thought I had auto aim
The
on there.
question is have you ever played or seen the game Resident Evil 3, and did you have to rely on Catherine Disher's voice version of Jill for your reference?
I've never had a reference to another voice ever, and I've never seen. This is the first time I've seen a Resident Evil game. The very first time. So I've never seen any other games before. So this is a real experience for me. And it's very cool. I love it. I mean, it's really, I love, like I said, the attention to detail, every little thing. I can see why people would come back again and again, because you can't get everything, the first time, you go through it, and just all of the objects.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can replay it many times, play it over. And always, it's always a little bit different.
I mean, I said this in one of my tweets, but just to say it here, I mean, did I ever think after playing this game in 2002, all these years later, that I would be showing one of the actors the actual.
Two of the actors.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, you've played it before, though, Joe. But
That's a good point.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, taking you on the journey. But Heidi, in particular, like she's never seen it before. Like,
No, none of this.
It's crazy. Basically, everybody who's been a fan of the game has seen more of it than you, and you're the character.
All right, I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
So if this is an iconic, wait, and isn't this where she's like,
Not
I lose
yet.
contact?
Almost, not yet. That's coming
Not
up
yet.
a little
Okay,
bit.
so if
yeah, a little bit.
Resident Evil is, and this game in particular was an iconic game in the gaming world, what's another game that would be classic that you would compare to this? It doesn't have to be horror genre, but just in the gaming world, people refer to it.
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill, yeah, that's just another one in the horror genre for sure. I don't know. Why don't we ask the chat? What do you guys think in the chat?
Yeah.
Maybe something like the Legend of Zelda series. That always comes up. That's an ongoing fandom as well.
That 20 years later, people still like it or are interested.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. For
Legend
sure.
of Zelda. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been around for ages.
And is as long as Resident Evil?
I think older.
It might be even older, yeah. I think it actually is from the 80s originally, for the very first Nintendo system. Maybe around 85 or 86. Resident Evil first came out in 96 for the PlayStation.
Okay. So
I
horror...
just realized.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized that I've been lying to you guys for a long time. I did play video games before Resident Evil. I played all of the old Zork games.
Okay.
Do you remember those? But they were. I started playing when they were text-based. I mean, it was just you typed in it came up with a little text block that said, "There's a mailbox here. What do you want to do?" And you would type in, open it or open mailbox, and it would come back and say, "Okay, you open the mailbox. Inside there's a map." There were no visuals whatsoever. It was just text.
Yeah, it's interesting. This seems to be sort of like, I mean, this is more interactive, but this is kind of a modern sort of text-based game in a way as well. Would you say? More interactive,
yes,
but it's got
much more interactive.
Yeah,
absolutely. But so I feel bad that I lied to you guys. I actually played some other video games, and I played basically the entire Zork series, which only added graphics in some of the later versions of that. They had sort of screen grabs. It wasn't an active graphic. You weren't actually moving through it, but it was. These were all on the PC.
Okay. Yeah.
And so Resident Evil was the first console game that I ever played. I think that GameCube was the first game console that I ever purchased.
Oh, there you go.
When you were saying, I'm sorry, but I lied, I thought you were going to say, oh, I'm lying. I'm not actually Chris. That's my twin brother.
Well, some of the chat has been saying some other series that are long-standing. There's Crash Bandicoot. There's the Super Mario Brothers series, of course.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
There's Metal Gear Solid, Devil May Cry. Those are just some examples there.
Oh, so there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's quite a few games out there. It's been around for a very long time.
Okay, this one is horrible.
That is Lisa Trevor, George Trevor's daughter.
That's a she?
That is a she.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
The poor dear has a very tragic story.
What's her story?
Artie?
Oh, God. I don't want to get all jumbled up talking about it. So, George Trevor was the architect of the Spencer Mansion, and Oswell Spencer, the owner of the estate and also the founder, one of the original founders of Umbrella, was a very bad man. And he essentially, for one night in the 60s, this goes all the way back to the 60s when the estate was built, invited the family over for dinner. And Jessica Trevor, George's wife, and Lisa, the daughter, ended up getting there first. And when George arrived, they were nowhere to be found. The story that was given to him was that they had been sent away to another relative who was sick. What really happened was that they were both essentially kidnapped and brought to the laboratory beneath the mansion and experimented on. And during the course of all of that, Jessica dies and Lisa Trevor becomes the creature that you see now.
That's horrible.
Yeah, and we'll find out more details about that as it goes on.
So that's like just an example of what happens in this whole story, is that as you go through, you discover little horror stories that have happened inside the mansion.
So rich with history and lore. Yeah, so many different things going on. Absolutely.
This is why you examine stuff and read files. You get more of the backstory to what happened before you got to the mansion.
Here we go, Heidi.
Okay.
Jill to Brad, can you hear me? Shit, it's broken.
Jill's little potty mouth.
Question for you, Joe, real quick. We have a little question. The first time you played Remake, was it natural hearing your voice in it, and how did you feel?
Oh no, it was pretty strange. That was pretty early on in my voiceover career, and I wasn't entirely used to hearing myself. Now it doesn't bother me, but it was, I listened. I played the game and I listened to it, and I was like, oh God, I want to go back and. It was, it was a little bit shocking, and to this day there are things that I would like to go back and I'd like to fix a few of the lines that just didn't, where I feel like I just didn't get it. I just didn't get there. Again, I was performing in a voice. I had no visual concept of what was going on. There were, other than being shown the videos of the plant throwing me around. And the reason that I had to do the voices for being thrown around by the plant with watching the video was because it was pre-rendered. That scene was already shot. It was already animated, so they couldn't. I couldn't do the sounds without matching it to what was going on in the animation. I had to match the animation. They couldn't do the screams individually and then try to match them up to the motion. They had to have it in one piece. So that was why that happened.
And it does show in the game. I mean, there are some areas where it seems quite stilted, but there was only so much you could have done. And now knowing the content, there are things that I would like to go voice, but that's never going to happen unless we do it as a fan thing. Well, Joe, I believe we may I believe we may have talked about something.
Let's make that happen. Let's make it happen.
A lot of the fans in the chat probably are aware of this recently. I'm working on a big project called the Canon Ending Project. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Heidi, but the reason why I call it the Canon Ending Project is because the characters in this game, you've got two scenarios. You've got Jill's scenario, which we're playing right now, and you've got Chris's scenario. Mm-hmm. And in each of the scenarios, you have the ability to save as many characters as you can. There's different endings. There's bad endings. There's sad endings. There's good endings. And the good ending is always to save, the other two characters. So there can only be 3 survivors. And in Jill's scenario, it's Chris and Barry. And in Chris's scenario, it's Jill and Rebecca.
Okay.
But you can never, ever at any point during the course of playing this game have all 4 characters survive at the end. But it's stated in the canon that all 4 did survive the events of the mansion incident. So I've been working on a project that involves video editing and modification of certain programming in the game to make it appear as though all 4 characters will survive.
Oh.
And during the course of that, I'm going to be taking liberties with some scenes that's going on. And I've talked to Joe, and we might recruit him for some voice work. Would that also be something that you may be interested in doing, Heidi? Reprising
Not putting me on the spot on a live stream across the globe. No pressure at all, but I'm sure we could work something out. So that would be something you would call that fan fiction, right? Video fiction.
That is
Is
a
that what
that
that
is
would be?
fan.
Right.
Yes, that is a fan fiction, a fan film.
Fan film.
Yeah, I consider it fan film because it would be cinematic. It's not really the game actually being played, even though it is a game and not really a movie. So, yeah.
That sounds good.
A film version of essentially the true ending of the game, as depicted from the way I interpret it.
Okay. The way it should have gone.
The way it should have gone. Yes.
Yeah.
So
If everything goes good, he can share you what he has so far.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm completely down.
So yes, you. I did put you on the spot there, but you can very easily decline the offer, Heidi. It's fine.
Okay. All right. No, that's cool.
So now, I don't want to put an end to this, but are you short on time, Heidi? Do you have to duck out?
I am gonna have to sign off for sure.
Okay. So,
but maybe we can pick this up at another time. Yes.
Yes. Would the both of you be willing to do another part of this?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
Sure.
No,
yeah.
Okay, great.
And I love the little light bulb that's about to go off, on the top of the screen there. I love that. And I loved the outdoor lights that had moths fluttering around and butterflies fluttering around.
The details are amazing.
Yes.
And Heidi, if I'm coming back to Los Angeles at the end of my time here in Montreal drawn to a close, and so when I'm back in LA, Kate and I will have you over for dinner some night, and we'll play Resident Evil together.
Okay.
That would be.
That sounds great. That sounds great.
Joe, I will help.
The request was for you guys to get a photo together.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, you two, Joe.
We'll do it in cosplay.
I could help
Cosplay,
Joe
exactly.
set up his live streaming, and then you could put the webcam on the both of you watching Joe play the game.
I love it.
That would be hysterical.
Love it. Well, just let me say this has been a really great experience. I really enjoyed going through the game. What a wonderful discovery for me to see all that, and I just love connecting with the fans. You guys have all been so good to me. And I'm just super happy about that. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so
Everybody
much,
spam
Heidi.
that chat with love.
Yes.
Lots of love and kisses to Brazil.
Absolutely. Brazil and Australia and Britain.
And Australia.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
We are international.
That's amazing. This is amazing.
Really is. Really is.
Thank you both so much for doing this. And
nothing but love to all of the Resident Evil community, and special love to you, Artie, and Paul, and Aaron, and geez, just thank you so much.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you. The fact that you're so enthusiastic, both of you, about connecting with the fans, it's just incredible. It really is, and I'm glad that we made these connections.
Yes, this is great. Thank you for all the comments and questions, everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing but love.
All right, so we'll see you again.
Yes, we will hopefully see you all very soon.
You.
Okay. Yes. All right, bye.
Part 2.
Best wishes.
Part 2.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Heidi.
Bye, guys.
Talk soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Take care, everybody, in the chat.
Thank you all.